All right. Looks like we're going. Oops. Quote tweet versus retweet. What is the URL for this guy? Cool. All right, let's get started. All right, so I got this guy running. If you're just joining now, I'm gonna show how I started built this in MUNIT. MUNIT is sort of like CycleGAN, if you're familiar with those. Basically, it takes pairs of images and tries to figure out how to translate between the two of them. So this is a portraits from the FFHQ dataset and a bunch of plant images that I have. I put this thing up at like 7 o'clock today. I was basically like, hey, send me some selfies and I will start to produce images. What did I do here? So it's like, see if I can pull up some examples. So people have been sending me images that look like, too far now. So people have been sending me images. This is my friend Julie. Hey, Julie. And here's what we produce when I use that image. Pretty cool. So I'm going to show how this works. Basically, I was just doing this all manual, where I was uploading one image at a time, and then I was like producing it, downloading it, and then picking out a couple favorites and sending them back. And that's pretty tedious because now I've got like about 30 that people are waiting on. So I'm just gonna think about how I would actually like make this a little bit the workflow a bit better. This is a Colab file. Let me just quickly run through the Colab and just sort of show folks what's going on. Hey, JC. Okay, so this is already running. Basically, this is what's called MUNIT. I've already pre-trained this, so this is like, I wouldn't do the training for this in Colab. But essentially, when you run this, so you clone the file, you install some dependencies, move into that folder. I'm going to skip dataset. This is a lot of stuff on testing if you're really interested in that. It's here. Actually, let me just post. Let's do this. Let's share. Can share a link to this guy. So that's a link to the MUNIT file. There's also information on how to train here. Again, I don't necessarily recommend training on Colab. It's just going to be really slow and painful. You could do it if you really want to, though. So let's look at testing. The way this works is that you have to make a couple folders. You bring your models folder in. So you'll see here that I have, this is called a checkpoint file. I basically trained this on another machine. I pulled my training file in. This is the generated model of that training. You need to make another folder called styles. What is in styles? I don't actually know what goes in styles. Anyway, so testing with a single image. So this is basically what I've been doing. The other thing you need to do is you need to grab your config file. So MUNIT works off of YAML files. So instead of passing in arguments into a Python script, you generate a bunch of this. Let me actually see if I have this locally on my computer. I might not. Let me download it and just show you what it looks like. So, hi Bug. My cat is here as well. So when I open this file in Sublime Text, this is basically the same file you used to train off of. All that really matters here is that you've got a, for generating images, you've got your size. You've got crop size, which again I think is mostly just for training. And then you've got your what data set it needs to point to. So it's kind of annoying in Colab is you can't really edit this file live. In Colab, you might have to download it, edit it, then re-upload it. This doesn't change, it's the same as my testing file, so it's already here. So this has been uploaded to the Colab version as well. And then what you can just do here is you can just pass in You need to pass in the config file. You need to pass in what your input image should be. And then you need to pass where it should go to output it. And then you need to point it at the checkpoint file. A to B is a thing of basically, so again, remember this is trained on faces and trained on florals. A to B is you want to generate faces. So whereas the reverse would be you want to train florals, but they have a skin texture, which looks really weird and creepy. Anyway, let me show you how one of these works. This is basically what I did. So actually, I'll show you how to do this manually. So basically, not sure who this person is. I'll just save this image down. So I save this. The process I've been currently doing is when I just save it down, so this is Estonia76 on Twitter. Then I upload this to, what is it, inputs? Nope, that's wrong. I upload it to datasets, and then I've got my dataset here, which is FFHQ to ladies. Ladies is just the dataset I used for this, for florals. So I upload this image into test A. So I probably haven't really discussed a lot of this very well, but essentially, if you remember A to B, this is the A folder, so this is the faces that I want to convert. So now I have this uploaded here. So if I just grab the name of it, just go in by clicking rename, and I come down here and I do, testing options. Generally what I would do is I would use that name, I would put it in here for, this is the input. Worst part about Colab is that this thing is super screwy. Okay, let's just do this. So I paste in that name. I want this to go output to, let's say, E76. My checkpoint is pointed at my checkpoint file. A to B is what I want. And there's a thing referred to as styles. So MUNIT can generate multiple styles of different images. So I'm just going to set this to 20. And then number start. So basically these work like randomized seeds. So if you start at 0 and you generate style number 1, it's always going to be the same style across any image. So I just usually randomize this number. Let's just say 100. So when I run this, it's going to generate a folder of 20 images, and these will be like the plant faces of people. So I'm just going to run this really quickly. And then the next thing I want to do is I just want to get these as a zip file that I can download. So E76, and then this should also be E76. When this finishes running, I'll run this to generate a zip file from it. So it's finished running. If you've never created zips like this essentially says, look at all the files inside of this folder. Recursively generate a zip file called this, and then here is the sort of matching algorithm for the file that you want. So if I go over here and I look at outputs, and I go to E76, you'll see there's a number of images that are just go output 100.png. So all you're saying is look for a file that matches that pattern, and put it into a folder called this. So if I run this, it's going to really quickly make a zip file, zip folder of all of these, and then I can refresh my file viewer, and I can download this. It's 25 megabytes. It should download like fairly quickly. So this is the current process I go through. Clearly this is not sustainable if people send me, a selfie every like 20 minutes or like even every 2 minutes. It's going to take me a little while. So what I thought would be cool is I'll show you how to maybe we'll write some Python to actually generate this a little bit quicker. Also look at how to mount this to my Google Drive account, which I think will also be kind of nice just to basically what I could then do is I could then actually even save these files directly to Google Drive, or I could even just drag all these zip files into Google Drive and then download them whenever I'm ready. So the thing with Colab is you have a time limit. It's probably gonna be fine for what I'm doing, but sometimes I'm just lazy and I don't want to respond to people immediately, and I want to maybe I want to post-process stuff tomorrow, and it's I could download all these zips one by one. You'll see it's kind of slow. Or I could just move them into a Google Drive folder, then download them from another computer or anything else. So this is now finished downloading. So let's take a look at what's in here. So when you open this up, you will see there's an input. there's one picture. So each of these has a different style, and you see that these styles, there's like, these two are kind of slightly different. These are really different. That one's kind of cool. I like that one, actually. So you get different colors, you get different textures. That one's pretty cool. So some of these don't work at all, and that's sort of what's great is like I can just be like, I'm never going to use style 107. Looks like it's just terrible, and that's fine. This gives me a bunch of options to play with. So let's go ahead and send these back. So which one? Okay, I like this one. So let's just save this down. So I'm just going to reply to her and just say, thanks for being my first live demo. Okay, so I'm going to give her this one, and which these other ones are good. Is that the one I just sent? That is, okay. That one's also good. So let's send her too. Cool, so sent those away. So that one is done. So there's a couple pieces here I need to think about. How do I actually want to format this to do this inside of Colab? What are some other tools I could use that would make this a little bit easier? Like one thing is I could do is I could actually build like a little uploader widget that could upload these images into this folder. That's one thing we could think about doing. I know that the main thing I want to do is I want to loop through this better. So one of the things that I know is happening here is that, so I'm just going to make a new file here, or a new cell here. So one of the things I would like to do is I'd like to automate just maybe grabbing whatever is inside of a folder. So that would probably mean looping through this test A folder and just grabbing any image that is inside of there. I'd want to do that. I then want to create an output that matches the folder name. Checkpoints are fine. I'd like to be able to maybe iteratively set like how many samples I should have. And then this thing is like I always want to generate a new random number for this because one of the most annoying things is like I don't really want to send everyone the exact same looking style image, so I want to generate this sort of randomly. So let's think about how we would go about doing this. So this is Python. You can write Python directly inside of Colab. So let's just say define, and then, I don't know, process folder. So let's do that, hit return. I'm going to comment this out. So what will we need to pass into process folder? So for now, let's just start with a string folder. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I just want to let's just set up how I would build like managing a folder setup. So then down here at the bottom, let's just say process folder, and then let's just pass in this path, which is this. So now when I go in here, it'll just let's just print the folder path. So if I run this, it should just return that path. What did I do wrong here? String folder. Maybe I don't need that. Yep, there we go. Cool. I always forget that Python is not typed. So that's fine. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out how to actually loop through this folder. Let's see, who else? Let's see, how would I go about doing this? So maybe one thing I'm thinking about is I know that the OS library inside of Python can loop through folders. So let's just say OS Python list files in folder. I am not a Python person by all means, so this is how I work. So let's see what we can do here. So how can I list a file, all files of a directory in Python and add them to a list? I'm not necessarily as interested in the list part, but let's see how we can do this. So could use OS walk, you use OS lister. So let's try, look at here. Could also use glob as it is pattern matching. Okay, that could be interesting. That would be nice in case somehow we got non-PNGs or something in there. Okay, let's just try this. So let's start here. Let's just say import OS. So I'm just going to grab the list of, we'll return a list of all files and directories in some directory. Okay, cool. So let's try this. So let's see. So we need to import OS. We're just going to do that up here. Oops, that is not right. Do it up here. And then what we need to do is we need to say OS lister, and we want the list to be folder. And we're going to delete this here, and let's just say files equals, and then we want to do print files. Cool. So now I have a list of all of my file names, which is really helpful. So now I'm going to do, let's see, we're going to do like a for loop. Is that right? For f in files, and then we're going to say print f. Let's make sure that works. I'm doing a wrong thing with for f in files. Interesting. For f in, okay, I guess maybe I don't need parentheses there. Let's go back here for f. That works. Cool. So now I've got all of my files here as an individual list. So now what I need to do is I need to figure out how to actually call this command. Let's also just set an like a random integer. So let's say rand int equals, and I actually have no idea how to do a random integer in Python. I'm the worst. Okay, so from random import random. Print, so there's a C generator, print random floating point values, random integers. So let's just say rand int. Okay, so interesting. From random import rand int. Let's go back over here. And then rand int equals rand int. And then we can have a number. That's what a range. That's what it looked like. A range from any number. So let's just say 0 to 10,000. So that should generate a random integer. So I run this. Bound method rand int of, interesting. Okay. Let's go back here. Oh, of course, that makes sense. Rand int. Okay. Yep, there we go. Cool. So that seems good. Let's also start to pass it a number of styles. So let's say number styles equals 10. And then let's pass in 20 over here. So the next thing I need to do is, I've got this loop set up. It's going to loop through every file. It's going to generate a folder. It's going to generate a file name. It's going to generate a. So we'll probably need to do a split here. We'll want to do a split at the period, and then we'll want to convert this, the file name, into the folder path. So let me just start building this up here. So the other thing is, I think there's a way, I think the way I'm going to have to do this is in OS command, right? So if I do os.cmd, or is it os, hold on. So running shell command and capturing the output. So subprocess run, this doesn't seem right. I feel like I've seen this handled better. Let's just see OS. Here we go, OS system, and then okay, let's just see, run Python command from, yeah, Jupyter Notebook, that seems good. How to execute a py from, yep, this is pretty much what I want. Okay, interesting. So you can actually just run this, but that's apparently not the correct way to do it. Let's see what they say the correct way to do is. Yada, yada, yada. That works. Open, read. Okay, let's just try this and see if this works. So run. So before I get too crazy here, let's go back over here and let's, I'm sure like anyone that does Python is looking at this and thinking, Jesus Christ, I hate this guy. He's making a mess of this stuff. But let's just see how this goes. So if I pass this in, let's see if this runs. Error root file. Nope, that's not right. Okay, so how do I do this? Now, I know there's a way to do this within os.system, I believe. Yep, this is what I want. So I want OS system, and I want to use this, and I'm going to pass this in, import OS, and then I'm going to run in this whole command. Let's make sure that works first. Let's just run this and see if that works. It's looking good so far. So this is going to go into yeah, let's see if this works. Don't need the which Momson, what parentheses don't I need? The OS system ones? Okay, so it looks like that just ran. That seems pretty good. So I think we're pretty much set up here. So let's just do this. So let's %s, that's what I need to do strings. So what I want to do is I want to, first off, we're going to grab this. And we're going to paste that in, and then let's just remove these. So first thing we want to do is let's pass in f into here. So we turn that into a %s, and then I'm going to say comma f comma. Let's just pass in the whole file name. That's a little messy, but for now, let's do that. That's fine. %s, f again, and then what do you need to do for tokens for integers? For loop. Yep, cool, thanks. Cool, so percent I is what I want, right? Is that right? Let's see it. And this is rand int. Is that what it did? Cool, so let's try this. So let's just say, all right, so one of the things I want to do here now is I just want to dump all of my outputs. So I'm just going to create a new cell here. Say code, and it's rm-r, and then I want to do /content/outputs star. I think this should work. Let's see. Cannot remove no such file or directory. Oh man, okay, recursively remove directory. That should work then. What did I do wrong there? Maybe it was just the pattern matching I was trying to do. Contents output. Oh, duh. Remove versus remove dir. Let's try that. Oh, yeah, of course. So I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to remake that directory. So now we've got an empty outputs folder. So now when I run this, I should just get these iteratively in here. I'm just going to delete a couple of these files in here just so I don't have that many pieces. And this should work just fine. So let's just run this. Although actually I should do another %i here. And this should be number of styles. Cool. So that should work just fine. System takes one argument. What did I do wrong here? Right, of course, that's what I did wrong. So then you come over here and you do %, and then you pass in that. Cool, let's try this. All right, so now this is going to take a little while to generate, but it looks like we haven't gotten any errors yet, so this is working pretty well. So now what I can do is I can just upload a bunch of images at once. Here it's going to generate a bunch of different files for me. While this is running, I think the next thing I need to do is I need to think about how I can move this to Colab really simply. So if I come up here, usually I add the Colab stuff at the very top of the page just to make it a little bit easier on myself. So I'm just going to add this here. Add a little cell here. And then the snippets for this are, so there is that mount drive button up right there. I prefer this one, however. Actually, is this one different? I feel like I've seen a couple different mount drives. Yep, that's the one I want. Okay, so let's use this. So I think this thing is still running, so I don't know if I can actually mount my drive just yet. Let's see how this is going though. So come over here. Yep, so I'm generating a bunch of different files here. So I've got, this starts at 9706. This one starts at 3099. This one starts at 273. So this is working exactly how I want it to. For the moment, I'm just going to stop this because I've already generated a bunch of these. If it lets me. Yeah. It did stop for a second, and I just kept running it. All right, let's just do some cleanup while this stops. Executing code is not responding to I don't actually want to do this, so I'm just going to hit cancel. Let's see if it needs to just keep running. Control M. Alright, well I know this is working. We'll let this run for a little bit. How many more of these do I have to go? Looks like it's almost done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe we're just going to restart our runtime. There we go. Cool. Alright. So all those are there. Let's just do this again. rm-r. Let's empty this guy out. Okay. Okay, so we're back to this. So let's get Colab set up. So one of the things that's really easy is if you want to mount your drive, you just come over here, you just click this button. It's going to add some code to your Colab. You're going to delete this. You're just going to run this cell. When you run this cell, it's going to ask you to open up your Google account and then enter an authorization code. I don't think you're going to see anything that is too important right now. But please don't hack me in case there is. Allow, copy. I think this is going to be fine. Yeah. And then you just paste that code in, hit return, skip that. And it's going to mount your Colab, or sorry, keep calling it Colab. It's going to mount your drive over here. So if you refresh, you'll see now you have a Google Drive here. Inside of here, a bunch of my folders. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to make a new folder and I'm going to call it, let's call it MUNIT, plant faces. Wow, that is not what I wanted. Rename. Now what's really great here is it's really easy to, you can just copy this path. And then the next thing you can do is you can actually just come down, back down here. Into our process folder command, and I have another guy there. Here it is. And I'm just going to edit this to, instead of going to this outputs folder, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to paste in this, and then slash. And now when I run this, this should save directly to my drive rather than to Colab. And this is going to be very clean. It's going to be easier than having to worry about downloading zips, those sort of things. So let's just go ahead and do this here. Although what I want to do is I actually just want to delete the files that are already in there. So let's go over to here. It's in datasets, and then FFQ ladies, and then tests. So I'm just going to delete these. I could obviously run this command quicker, depending on how many I had in here. But this is fine. Cool. So let me, I'm just going to download a couple here. Cool. Okay. Yep. Some people with some save images to downloads. Thanks everyone for sending me images. If you want to send me images, you can do so at dvsch. So 3 sounds good. Let's come back over here and upload these. Cool, there's 3. I'm just going to upload these in here. All right, so now we should be able to run this. I'm going to set this back down to 10 just because I feel like, let's do 12. 20 takes a little bit of time to produce. So let's just go ahead and run this. And if I come over to my drive, did it die silently or did it actually work? Let's see. It definitely died silently. Let's figure out why. So let's see. Content MUNIT, datasets, output folder, content. Probably this guy. This kills me that Google names it my drive and then doesn't take the path correctly. So let's try this again. That looks like that works. Looks like we're getting less issues there. Yep, cool. So now we're generating images. And if I jump over to my drive, not the right drive folder, this one. And I come over to MUNIT plant faces. Now all of my images are over here. So this worked really well. Obviously, like I have Drive synced up to my hard drive, so I can just open images that way. We can actually sort of view them here though, which is kind of nice. Maybe. Looks like Drive is kind of slow to provide updates. But so now we've actually made this like a little bit cleaner. This is pretty much set up. There's a couple other things I would want to do here. So one of the things that's nice about this is like this works now, but if I get disconnected in say an hour or whatever in Colab, there's some things I might want to do to make this a little bit smoother for me to set up. So actually what I'm going to show you is I'm just going to restart the runtime and we can sort of see that like some of this doesn't work as cleanly as I would like it to. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do factory reset runtime. So this is just going to delete everything. Yes, it's going to take me a little bit longer to set up, but I want to show a couple new things that you can do, especially using Drive as a function. So let's do this. It's going to reconnect. Although, you know, as I did that, I just realized I bet you I don't have that file saved to my desktop. So let's just look at that. So you'll see that now this has started refresh from brand new. I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to hit shift return again. This is going to start to reinstall everything that I need. I'm going to come over here. So another thing I could probably do is I could probably actually move this. I usually like to work in a way that you only have to run this top line once. Obviously I can't run it, or like I could run it again. Let's just we can just restart the runtime. It's not the cleanest way, but it works. And then what you could do is you could just paste those commands in here. What I like is like having the pieces at the very top of the page. You don't have to run multiple times. You just run it once. This will help sort of set up a bunch of things for me. I think the other thing I want to do is I want to, so actually let's do this. So let's make a copy of this. So what I'd like to do is just actually make this something I can open at any time. So maybe someone sends me an image in like a couple days, and I want to be able to make this really quickly. So let's think about how I could actually like basically make a really quick Colab workflow for all this. So I'm just going to create a copy of this in Drive. So let's just rename this and let's just call it MUNIT FFHQ to ladies. So this will maybe be like a private file for me, and I can just have this stuff already set up, ready to go. So what other files do I need to make here? So if I run this, let me make sure that set my runtime right. It did. Cool. All right. So I'm now making this. It's now installing everything I need. Let's get Colab set up. So I'll come back over here. I'll use this one. Allow. Copy that code. Paste it here. Cool. So now my drive is mounted. So there's a couple other things. So when I come in here, one of the things that I know I lost was I lost my checkpoint, right? So I lost my model. So the first thing I might want to do is I want to be able to upload that. Now uploading it is a process that takes some time. It is, let me see if it's actually on my desktop. I bet you it's not on my desktop because I think it came directly from my backup file. You can see how poor of an organization I am. So if you come down here and you go into MUNIT, and then we'll see 1024 FFHQ to ladies, and then in here, so basically this is what my trained folder looks like. So when I'm training this, I train this on like a regular like 16 gigabyte GPU. I've got this config file. This is what I want to use. I'm going to need to upload that as well. And then the checkpoints here, this is just a ton of checkpoints. Realistically, I could probably archive or delete half of these and really only keep this last one because this is really what I need to generate files from. You might want to keep your latest, if you're going to do this training yourself, you might want to keep your latest discriminator file and your latest generator file. That way you could continue from that training and maybe delete everything else. Just because I'm a pack rat, I save all of these files just for the heck of it. But anyway, let's move this into my desktop. So if I drop this into my desktop here, and then I need that config file as well. And while I'm in here, I can show you what, so these are the checkpoints. The model also generates images, so you can actually sort of see what they look like as you're producing. So you can see 3900 looks like this. So you'll see it passes in little crops. This works like CycleGAN, or MUNIT is a version of CycleGAN essentially. It passes in small crops and you test the little crops. It does the loss function on this. If you're interested in more, I have some videos on CycleGAN in my YouTube library. CycleGAN is essentially a process that it converts in what's called a cycle process, and that's why it's called CycleGAN. It converts from this image to a translated image back to the original image. So the loss is actually calculated between the original A and the like second A, and it basically learns through those two processes. So there's actually I believe 6 models. There's like, or is it 4? It's 2 generators and 2 discriminators as it translates these things. So it's pretty interesting. You can basically throw out a bunch of weird stuff and it like sort of learns how it all works. So you can see all of these. You can also see what B to A looks like if you want to see some really creepy stuff. So if you train these plant illustrations on faces, you'll get some really creepy eyeballs in places. Definitely do not want to show that to you before you go to bed. So anyway, that was a long way to get back to like, I need to have these files uploaded to to Colab in order to run this. Now, actually, the fastest way to do this is actually to upload them to Drive. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So in here, let's go to MUNIT plant faces, and let's just upload these files here. I think this will be safe. I don't think there's any way to overwrite these, so this will be fine. So in Colab, or like generally in Python, there's a file called, or there's a library that you can install via pip called gdown. I think it's installed by default on in Colab, and it makes it really, really easy to download files directly from your drive into Colab. So let me show you how this works. So now that I've got this file uploaded, I'm going to get the shareable link from this. You turn sharing on, shared settings. I think this is good as long as it's on here. You might need to make this public, but let's just see how this goes. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to hit done. Let's just make a new cell here. So the way this works is you type gdown --id, and then you want to paste in, you want to just get just the ID. I just paste the whole path in, and you can remove this. Now, this is going to download this file wherever I am. So like where I am right now, if I do this, so I'm inside of content/MUNIT. So where I actually want to be is I need to be inside of, let's see, configs, right? So if I cd configs and then I download this file, what will happen is, so remember this was that configs.yaml. So it's going to download a file named configs.yaml right there. So let's see, make sure this works. Yep, so it's just downloaded, and if I refresh this folder, you'll see now config.yaml is in here. Which is great. So now we're like getting closer and closer to getting set up. Usually what I'll do is once I run this, I'll move this up to the top of this right in here. So I'm going to make a little note that says install config file, and I'm going to also install my checkpoint. So the gdown is there. So next thing is, now that I think this other file is uploaded, it has. So I can copy that path. Basically, the reason this is better is that you're connecting your Google Drive account and your Colab account, and those are both on really fast servers. It just moves over your files a lot faster than it would if you were to try to upload stuff. Also, just the manual having to track and check and move things up yourself, which is always just a little bit more annoying than anything else. So let's go ahead, and we want to do, so if I check to see where I am after that, so I'm going to want to do cd // and I want to move this into models. So this is going to go into models, and then I hit that, and then I do gdown --id, paste this in, and I'm going to use this ID. And if I hit return, what did I do wrong here? Oh, that. Common Colab issue. So obviously anytime, you might write this directly in like a bash script or directly in Python. In Colab, you pretty much need to put the, my God, interrobang, exclamation point before everything, just as like a general behavior. This is not going to work now because I'm already in the right folder. So I'm just going to do that. Let's make sure this works. So that took, how long did it take? This was like 3 or 4 seconds. Usually if I upload it, it takes about a minute if I do it manually from my own computer. So if I go into models and I refresh, that did not work, which is great. Cool, so let's try this again. I guess when it threw an error, it didn't move stuff in. So let's do this, and let's just run this again. Yep, so now that's in there. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to move this up to my starting command. Basically, like, this is just me like doing some cleanup as I go along, so that if I get disconnected or when I rerun this file later, like, it's a little bit cleaner. Basically, there's now one cell to just like install all the dependencies I need. The last thing I need to do is I need to make a directory. So I need to make a directory inside of datasets. And then it's going to be called /ffhq2ladies. And I believe the reason that it needs to be named exactly that is because that's what I've named it in the YAML file. So if I go here, open this up and look at this, you'll see this is already pointing at the folder that I need to convert stuff from. So if I go in here and I do ffq to ladies, that should match what I have here. So since I've already run this cell, I'm going to come down here and run this cell here. Cannot create, it's because I can't spell data sets. And if I come over to data sets and hit refresh, yep, that's there now. Cool, so I can just come up here. Let me clean up these cells a little bit. And so now if I were to just restart the runtime, just for the hell of it, I generally like to do this just like as I'm working to make sure that I'm like editing stuff right. 'Cause sometimes what'll happen is I will just assume I did everything right, and then I'll come back to it like 3 days later and everything will be broken and I won't be sure why. So this just helps me like double check myself. So I'm just gonna run this. Interesting. Let's try this. Cool, and this seems to be working. So I should be able to generate my setup for this MUNIT file in like less than a minute. All right, so now I'm all set up here. Let me just double check my work. Configs, config.yaml, datasets, ffhq2. Oh, you know what I should really do is I should also generate another one that is called test. Oh shit, what was it? Was it test A or train A? Or sorry, test underscore A. So test A. So usually you have to name everything exactly as it matches. If you don't, you might get errors if you use like an underscore or something, because it's trying to automatically find that folder. So I'll leave that there. In the meantime, I'm going to just add a cell below here real quick and just do that now. Yep, that's there now. I can go ahead and delete that cell. And then we should be able to just like start automatically training from this. So now if I come over here, let's grab a couple more images. So let's grab Diana. Let's grab Kate. We'll grab this one. Let's do another batch of 3. Should be good. And where did those download to? It's Diana. Cool. So let's grab these 3 and let's just drag them back into test A. Now, a fun thing I could really do is like I could like maybe batch save these to Drive, and then in Drive like actually like pull them in. I don't know if you can actually recursively do that through a folder. I think you usually have to zip it, share the folder over, and then unzip, which would be like the same amount of work for me. But I'm just always trying to think about how I can maybe like almost turn this into a bot without being a bot. Reason I wouldn't want to make it a bot is it'd be pretty expensive. I'd have to find a service that could like constantly run a GPU or like spin one up just to respond and then that sort of thing. This is just a fun one night thing, so like it'll be fine, but that's usually how my mind is working. Okay, so let's go over here and let's come to this command, and we should just be able to run this. Okay, so one thing I did notice is that this says test A here, this says test A, so I'm just going to edit this to mean lowercase, and let's run it. That didn't work. What happened there? Bet you it's because I did not mount my drive. So every time you reset your instance, you have to remount your drive. They could probably do some better stuff with that, but for whatever reason, they haven't just yet. So I'm going to constantly do this. So that's pretty much why it died silently. That is sort of an annoyance of using the OS system command, is that things will die silently rather than giving you an error message that says like, hey, this folder doesn't exist. But this should work now. It did not. Why not? Content drive, my drive. And then unit plant faces. Interesting. It's looking at the files inside of content MUNIT datasets, FFHQ to ladies, test A. Let's just grab this and paste this in again and see what happens. Interesting. Definitely dies silent. What are we doing wrong here? So let's just do this. Let's print files. That seems to be working fine. Let's try print F. That all seems to be working fine. So something's still wrong here. I wonder if the configs is pointing to the right thing. That seems right. Okay, so let's try to run this line then. So we're going to comment this out. Since I already have this line separated out by itself, I can just come in here and I can say content drive checkpoint. Let me make sure that that exists. It does. Let me make sure that path is right. It's checkpoint. That seems right. A to B, number of styles, number of starts. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Let's grab one of these files. Let me make sure that there are no spaces in these names. That can sometimes cause issues. Alright, so let's just try this. So if we paste this one here. That is not what I want. I want that whole, that's the whole path. And let's just name this as output mates. And let's say checkpoint. That should point to the right thing. So let's just run this and see what happens. Can't open file test.py. Oh, of course. Yes, this is always what I end up doing. So basically the problem here is that I'm currently inside of the models folder. So what I need to do is I need to actually come out, and the way to do that would be to go to code pwd, make sure that's right. Yep, I'm in the wrong place, so I want to do %cd ... run that. And now I'm actually inside of MUNIT, so let's delete this cell, come up here, return, save that there. And now this should be able to run. So OS system dying silently can be pretty annoying, as you just saw. This should now run fine. Yep, that seems right. Because it's taking a little bit longer. I mean, it's actually kind of nice that it's actually telling you what it's processing. So I could say print processing So it's kind of like a nice little convenience that you could say, like, hey, I'm processing this file. Cool, so I think this should work now. If I come over to my drive, and I look and see what's here, I come into, what did I call this thing again? MUNIT plant faces. And highlights be mates is there, no associates is there, and Diana is there. So let's try this. Refresh. Well, that's not great. Let's come over here and check. Refresh this page. Diana. There are no images. Great. Why not? Why wouldn't there be images? Back to the drawing board. Let's come back over to this. Let's say create. That runs fine. Let's print out what our random int is supposed to be. Maybe there's a chance that there is like actually a limit, like a ceiling for the random integers. It seems weird, but let's see. Over here. That seems to be working fine. So we're able to generate images. I wonder if... Let's do this. Let's try deleting those folders. Might be a chance if the folder already exists, it won't let you overwrite it. Let's just see. 4095, that seems fine. 2080, 21. This is just the random seed that I'm generating to start from. And if I come over here and I hit refresh, let's be mates. Has no images in it still. Why would that be? Well, let's just take this. Let's take this whole output folder, and let's just say this is my least favorite part of using Colab, these little scroll windows. Just let your stuff wrap, please. Let's take that and let's paste in. The output folder should go here. Expected one argument, and it's taking that as a actual space. I didn't have that issue before. I wonder if... Can we just wrap this in a string? Let's see. Oh, well, I see what I did wrong here. It's duplicated there. Let's try this again. Yep, that's writing fine. Why isn't my other one writing fine? Let's come up here and take a look at this. OS config is right, input is right, output is right, checkpoint. styles rand int. Everything here looks correct. Of course, this is a fun live stream deal of just trying to figure out what's going on here. Okay, so let's just try this again. Let's actually just dump them all into a folder called tests. Let's duplicate this. I want to remove that first F. Let's try this. That seems really fast. Let's see. Test. No images. Interesting. I have no idea why I can't write to these folders from this OS command. That's interesting. Well, this one might stump me. Let's see what we got here. That totally works. I have no idea. Interesting. We're getting a random integer. Let's just say 1 to 1000. Let's print out the number of styles just to see if that's what's messing with it. Also just going to remove this. I don't know why that would be making a difference, but we'll see. Let's try this again. It just seems too fast. Something weird is going on here. Let me try this again. So we want to take highlights be mates, paste this in, and then we want the output folder to be the exact same name. Slash, and then let's just run this and see if this works. Oh shit, you know what it is? It's because I changed the damn capitalization here. Unreal. Screwed by my own stupidity. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I bet you this is what will fix it. Yep. Of course. Cool, so there's a case of where sloppy little changes that you make without checking yourself will come back to haunt you and set you back for 15 minutes. But I think I now have a system that works. If I come over here and I look at inside of no associates, interesting. Okay, I don't know why that moved me over there. Come over here and go to MUNIT plant faces. Come on. Go to No Associates. Seriously, I'm still not seeing images here. What's going on? Oh, right, because I just... Oh boy, it might just be like I can't be doing live streams at 11 p.m. at night. That's probably a bad idea. So let's just do this again. Basically, I had this spitting it out to a test folder, but I wasn't spitting out to the right string. This is very clearly a behavior that I should not be doing this at 11:15 at night. So let's run this again. We're like so close. Like, I feel like I've been 5 minutes away from finishing this live stream for like literally like 20 minutes now. So let's see if we actually get there. So if I come back over here, refresh this page. Of course. For real? Let me see what's going on. Okay, they're showing up here. Why are they not showing up in Drive? Let's find out. That's really interesting. There we go. Okay, finally. They showed up over here. So if I come here and I select these. Interesting. That is a very abstract photo. But it does kind of work. So, all right, I'm going to finally finish this live stream. As you can see, someone who is not the world's best coder, which is me for sure, can hack together some interesting processes inside of Colab, can make a workflow, can, Google his way into incompetence and generate some images. So this is a fun little project. We did a little bit of Python. We looked at hooking this up to Google Drive. I showed you a little bit of how I clean up some Colab files. You saw that I'm a total idiot at many times throughout this process, but it worked. So this is fun. I'm going to stop the live stream now and generate a bunch of these photos for folks. So thanks for watching. I'm doing a much better version of demoing Colab on Friday, I think at 12:30. I sort of changed the time to 12:30 because of some work-related things. At 12:30, I'm going to show some Deep Dream stuff. So if you're interested in doing Deep Dream, I'll talk through some of that. This is a fun little last-minute live stream just because I thought it'd be fun. So thanks for hanging out, and I will see you Friday, if not sooner. Thanks.